seems to be ready now. So thanks again, everyone, for joining. We will have a session today about the roadmap of openIMIS and where we want to go in the next year. I think I can start right away because whatever I can give as a summary will be in the slides. Happy to see a few people from a number of organizations. And yeah, I'd be glad if this could be if this could be like a start for some new collaborations that we are having. And kindly help me if there's new people joining. It will be a bit difficult for myself to admit them to the room. You might want to assist me with that. All right, let's start. And yep, my mouse works. What we'll do is just a quick introduction of what openIMIS is, how the community is set up, and so on. For those of you who are part of the community, that might be a bit boring, but I will try to rush through very quickly. Second point is the roadmap of the initiative and the software so far from the last years, and especially the last core MIS migration project that we just finished. And then we'll look at the current roadmap for the next 1 or 2 years, specifically looking at 2 projects that were kicked off this month and last month about solution buildings and interoperability sandbox. So as a quick reminder to those who don't know openIMIS, openIMIS is a digital public good, or if you want to look at the health sector specifically, where we call it a global good, like an open source software that is being used to manage social protection processes. In health, it would be health insurances and voucher schemes. In social protection, we are looking at cash transfers specifically, but also like other functionalities in a landscape that I will talk about in a little while. We are supported by a big community of developers, users, and implementers worldwide that all have the same mission to improve universal healthcare and universal social protection, specifically in their countries. openIMIS is covering a number of workflows along the delivery chain of social protection systems. And it starts with the enrollment of beneficiaries, goes across the provision of services, whatever is needed to render benefits to beneficiaries. Like this example from the early days is still very much focused on health insurance, where we have claims management as one very important component in the delivery chain that will lead to payments. So openIMIS is also covering the link to the payment layer to bail out the claims and also to collect contributions from beneficiaries. And we also have links to monitoring platforms, dashboards, for example, in external tools like DHIS2, but also there's some quite customizable functionality for reporting within openIMIS. We have a number of implementations worldwide. Of course, we are not a medical record system and we don't have a reach like DHIS2, but since we are limited to health insurances and insurance organizations where you normally have only one per country, then of course you can't really compare us with like those big implementation bringers like medical record systems, which you have like tens of thousands in one country. So we have currently, and I hope the number is still correct, 12 countries worldwide, mainly Africa and Asia. But there's also an implementation in Moldova, in Europe, and in newer in somewhere near New Zealand. Several social protection schemes and health financing schemes. And well, this number is definitely old. I think by now we are at around 25 million people covered by openIMIS managed schemes. The openIMIS initiative itself is set up by a central product group, which is run by GIZ. Well, I'm seeing Constanze in the room, Sorov you might have seen, and we have a few other colleagues, Bader, Julia, and also support from in communication management. That's basically the coordination desk that we are covering. And we are running a developers committee and an implementers committee. Developers committee just started their session this morning with regular weekly developers calls. The implementers have weekly implementers calls where they exchange information. And that's like the core product group. Members of these committees come from all kinds of projects, from implementations in the countries. And then, of course, we have like in the larger openIMIS initiative, the knowledge hubs run through AHIN and KEA for the Asian and the African region. We have a steering group of the core, the main funders that are directly communicating with us. We just had a stakeholder reunion 2 weeks ago where we had representatives from ministries, from developers, from like all kinds of groups that are part of the initiative joining us and discuss about the future. And then from the beginning, we had a technical advisory group that was also like helping us setting up the initiative. If you look at it in terms of logos, it's quite colorful and getting bigger and bigger. And I'm sure we are still missing some. We just updated this slide. So you have developers, you have like the funders and stakeholders, and then you have like participants from the countries who are all part of the community now, and whom you will see in regular calls here and there. Okay, let's talk about the roadmap so far. We have started out in 2012 with the first implementation in Tanzania. Then quickly moved to Cameroon and Nepal. And then in 2016, it was decided to have the openIMIS initiative as an open source initiative. On the technical side, which I want to focus on right now, we had then started a project of a modular migration of the openIMIS core modules from going away from a Microsoft architecture and from Microsoft technologies, moving to 100% pure open source stack. That means now you can run openIMIS on open source technical components. You don't need any commercial components anymore. So the usual stack of Unix, Postgres, and then Python libraries. That's what we are supporting now. And in 2023 to 24, we have a major migration project from openIMIS from the World Bank that was integrated into the openIMIS functionalities. And while we were doing those migrations, we also had a lot of modules that were added, functionalities that were added. And of course, at the same time, we were pushing forward for the implementations all over the world. Let's look at the openIMIS migration project, which just finished this year. Basically, we had a workshop in late 22 where we compared both software packages, like the data items that both of our project worked on, and the functionalities around like managing those data items. And we found out that basically we had the same things that we were working on, but we had complementary functionalities that both projects would profit from. So we decided to go the following way or roadmap together, and that's what kicked off an implementation project. So there were a number of contracts. First phase of the migration in 23. Then that was always backed with a maintenance and support contract that we normally have. Can someone kindly help me muting people with an open mic that are not speaking at the moment? Okay, seems to be okay. Then the second openIMIS migration project that was running mainly this year, and with the current maintenance support, we then managed to get all the implementations or all the migrated functionalities out in the last release that was published in October this year. What we have done, basically, if you look at this, that's the original module structure from openIMIS along the delivery chain of social protection services. We will see this again later in the interoperability discussion. So we have taken like most of their modules. Some of them were not suited as or not were identified as not being suitable to be migrated, or we already had that functionality in one way or the other, and we decided to just keep the openIMIS way of doing it. So a few things like targeting we did not really complete very much. We still have to work on that. There are like open tasks, room for more improvement, but most of the other modules were like migrated for the most important functionalities. We have now an openIMIS module architecture covering different areas, and the stars that you are seeing here are new modules that came from the openIMIS migration project. But I mean, we didn't only just include, we didn't specify the modules that profited from the migration. We just added the stars to the ones which are new. Basically, all the other modules that were already existing also profited from new and enhanced functionalities that came from openIMIS and openIMIS. So it was quite a big and substantial extension of openIMIS. The project landscape so far, if you look at this, is a bit complicated, but we'll get there quickly. We mainly always have like since the beginning of the openIMIS initiative, we had a development part, and then we had an integration part doing the technical quality assurance of new developments. And so on the development side, like in 23, we still had a few migrations of things from the old version. And we had the openIMIS migration going on. And that was always backed by maintenance to integrate the developments that were coming from the development projects into the regular releases. What we will do now that is new on the roadmap, today is actually more towards the end of 2024. We have an extra bug fixing contract that we were able to kick off, which will give more budget to the maintenance team to like support bug fixes or small feature development requests. And this will go until August 26. And we have added now a new application QA layer, basically through the solution building contract and the sandboxing contract. And what they will do is just things that were developed in the releases, package them into solutions in the solution building contract. So that means the people working on solution building, they are in a position to validate the stuff that was delivered in the releases, and the sandboxing people, oops, this ball somehow stayed over there. The sandboxing people, they will then take either solutions or raw implementations of openIMIS, and by what they are doing, they're also doing some sort of quality assurance making sure that the stuff that is being promised by the maintenance team, that is being promised as being easily installable, that it is really easily installable, and they will add an additional eye on whether things work in a way that people in the field are able to install them on their machines. So with this new setup of contracts, we are going into the next year and a half. And what we'll do today is talk about the two main contracts quickly. So we'll start with solutions building. Solution building means we have different use cases: social health insurance, employment injury insurance, voucher schemes, social cash transfers, and beneficiary management. All of this is being done in countries already. But if you look at openIMIS right now, the functionality is quite complex. And if you look at voucher schemes, for example, only, then you don't really need everything that is in openIMIS. And so what we are doing now in the solution building contract is picking the modules that we need for openIMIS health insurance, which is mostly all of it. And then also for the cash transfer thing, which we will call the openIMIS solution. And there we will just filter out some modules, not activate them, and change the look and feel and the menu structures and things like that, and package it for someone who, like the World Bank, has a lot of cash transfer schemes, and they would be installing directly from this packaged solution. It will basically look like that they are feeding from the releases, and I hope that we can start with the openIMIS and the health insurance releases already with the current openIMIS release. And then going further into the year, we will look at integrated beneficiary registers and social registers. We have done specifications for that. Thomas and Jerry's, who are in the room from OPM, they will talk about those specifications right after me. And yeah, so I think we'll keep busy, and there's room for more. So if we come up with some low-hanging fruits, we might add other solutions as well. Talking about the interoperability sandbox, interoperability, you might have seen this graphic around openHIE. openIMIS is the main role is to support the finance and insurance services, both at the national level and at a point of service level in terms of registration services. But basically, we have touch points with any other component in this architecture, and a lot of interoperability scenarios that we have up and running in countries can be really mapped to this architecture from openHIE, which, by the way, has been taken over by WHO now in the last GDHF conference and conferences around that. WHO has come up with their own full stack strategy for a national digital health ecosystem. And it looks a bit different, but the components are basically the same. So we might want to update this slide very soon, looking at the WHO architecture in here. And if you look at it, I'm just paging through it, not going to the details. Basically, you can place icons on each of the functionality things. And this is an example from Cameroon, where openIMIS is connecting to a lot of other services in that landscape, also to external services like payment layers. And you can see that from the Gambia, you can see that from Nepal and from Tanzania. So we do have a lot of interoperability scenarios up and running in the field. Sorry for that. The reason why we want to have the sandbox now is that we can't show those scenarios to people who are interested to learn about this. And we need some space where we can like really show people now, listen, this is what it looks like when you send a claim from a medical record system to openIMIS, and when openIMIS then sends a payment request to the payment layer, that we can play around with those things to really make interoperability visible to other people. And we also want to be inviting for other global good providers, for example, medical record systems, who do have FHIR APIs to send claims, or who do want to synchronize with the beneficiaries that are recorded in openIMIS, to join us in this sandbox effort. Either you send us Dockers, which we can install on our server, or you just set up your own server where you can be able to communicate to openIMIS through the FHIR APIs that we provide. I looked at health mainly. We have a similar scenario in social protection. So social protection, openIMIS is, I don't know if you have seen this digital landscape of social protection delivery systems that was published by the World Bank. Basically, they also have system components in this landscape, which they align to their delivery chain. And you have systems that manage actual social protection programs. Then you have integrated beneficiary registers that condense and summarize information from all those different BOMs into one integrated system. And then you have a social register that contains the beneficiary information, like the social status and some other indicators, on the basis of which you could enroll them into social protection systems. And openIMIS is, of course, obviously a BOMS supporting software, health insurances, cash transfer. We can do things at this level, but we're also eyeing with the integrated beneficiary registry, because we have a lot of functionality that's also already supporting this, and we need to fill a few gaps. But I think we can aim at this as well, and also at the dynamic social registry at one point, which is a bit more complex. But Jerry's and Thomas, they will shed some light on this in the next presentation. And yeah, then if we look at the architecture of what we're envisioning with the sandbox, we will basically have one health view coming from openHIE, or this new full stack architecture of WHO, basically looking at FHIR standards. And then we have that view coming from the social protection side. There's a digital convergence initiative that is defining standards for data exchange in social protection. And we want to basically have openIMIS in there in different roles in the sandbox, for us to see that it works, and for others to see also that it works and how to do it. But we're open to like include other projects, like for example, OpenSPP as another BOMs, and openMRS as another client in health. And then we will also have to look at central services, for example, MyFOS and Moja for identity management and payment, and also for the CRVS layer. So I think that in a nut. Yeah, the overall landscape. It will be integrated in our sandbox scenarios that we already have, and there we have a development server, a release server, and a demo server. So this is according to the development chain that we have, basically through the GitHub branches. And when it comes to demoing, then we always have the latest release on the demo server. And this will be seconded by a second server where we will build up the interoperability sandbox. So that's where it is. And if you want to follow up the detailed documentation of the instances once they are created, you will do that through this link. I think, no, yeah, that was the last slide. We don't need this one. I will stop the recording now if I can find the button.